the period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor. The period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor. The period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor. The Egyptian Ankh or Ankh, electric oscillator. Nothing is religion, nothing is culture, everything has to do with the electromagnetic energy of this vortex crater Earth. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here, and you're probably going to change your mindset, hopefully. And I'm combining these pictures with the period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor. He tried to push the free energy and the freedom of like having a good life, and then of course he was banned and he was destroyed, because you know what happened in the 20th century. Egyptian Ankh and the electric oscillator. You see what I mean? And the Egyptian Ankh is not even Egyptian, because the ancient Egypt is not actually ancient Egypt. It's something different human species that was all around the world, not just in Egypt. So we have here, I mean, once you see the hieroglyphs and stuff, and when you study this again, you'll see that it has nothing to do with like the realm of the dead or like culture or art or stuff like that. Everything has to do with electricity, electromagnetism, and the power that was not for the primitive tribes. This power that we actually call electromagnetism and the vortex and stuff, for the people, for the common people, were not allowed to have light and heating and all that stuff. Or they were allowed but not to understand it. So that's the whole point. You see, this power is actually the power of what we call the gods. And the gods are nothing else but superior humans or superior humanities that created an inferior humanity, which is us and others before us, and that's it. And I know that's something too hard to understand, even though the Masons and Hollywood and the movies, they tell you the truths all the time. And when you look for the archive pictures on the internet and you do just a bit of research, you will understand many things. But that's how it is. And actually we have so many stone carvings and from the past, and speaking about this and explaining everything. It's up to you really to just open your eyes and understand. Insulator for electricity, insulators that we use in the real world and everything else. And then we see this in Egypt and other cultures and places in the world, in stones and pyramids and walls and temples that are not even temples, they're power stations. And that's it. Easy, simple, like a cheesecake. Like when you eat a cheesecake, yummy, yummy. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Streetcars after the recent 19th century. What's the power, the fuel they're using? Electricity, steam, compressed air. Let's see some stuff that was going to make you. These are electric and compressed air. You can see there on the left side, electric storage battery in the 19th century, and compressed air car. Free energy, both of them, and no dependency on money, tax, and petrol and oil. But of course, what is free is not allowed, because you know that makes us. And this is a steam car, but steam not in the way you see in the movies with coal and that kind of fuel. Different type of steam that you would see in anime movies. Japanese are usually very good with this, or like the steampunk movies from North America, from Hollywood, and when they do it, they do them from the US. This is a text. There's like certain texts, there are not many of them, but there's certain texts each and here and there in books from the 19th century. Compressed air streetcar book, 1800, proposed to propel carriages by means of compressed air carried in a reservoir using a single cylinder. And this was in 1800. Imagine. So there was the possibility of using free energy, not just with water and electricity, but also with compressed air. The bomb pass in 1828, the air being emitted from each of the reservoirs. So air, you know, if I guess if these people who control the world, if they could, they would probably make us pay for air as well. This is the Mekarsky system. For those of you who are more interested, the Mekarsky was also a guy who worked a lot with compressed air, and the compressed air was used everywhere. So now, you know, when you see all these like old videos in big cities like San Francisco and so on, why do you see these streetcars and there's no cables, there's no horses, yet they move? The possibility of electricity is there, but also compressed air. And compressed air is even more powerful than electricity in the sense of like it's more useful because the batteries don't need to be charged. air is there, it's always there like water. So there's like stuff which is superior to electricity still. And also the locomotives, there were like air locomotives with tenders. Obviously this is an illustration, but who knows, maybe there was actually stuff that was built, multiple tank air locomotive for very high charging pressure. Imagine the power and the force these were having. And then this is the pneumatic car. You don't find many pictures or texts about pneumatic cars. These are cars that work with compressed air, so not even electricity anymore. You find quite a lot of information still about the electric motors that were actually very superior 150 years ago than now, but you barely find anything for pneumatic, for like air compressed cars. And there's a reason for that. The airmobile, afterwards in the 20th century, they ridiculized this. People were saying, oh, this is like a ridiculous, it's impossible to have like a four-wheel air drive car. And these are the advantages of the airmobile to operate a car. So the safest car in the world, simplest car in the world, the easiest operated car in the world, the most marvelous hill climber in the world, the first scientifically designed car in the world giving proper distribution of weight and power, the fastest car in the world, the lightest car in the world in its class, and the smoothest riding car. So the advantage of the airmobile, even superior to electricity. Rotary Air Brake Company, that was in Los Angeles, California. And the output for 1914 sold already. So I order now. This was like before the First World War. Now you know why the First World War is called the first reset of the 20th century. 1926, the Lee Barton Williams of Pittsburgh, USA, 62 miles per hour. This automobile, he claims, runs on air. And of course they say, oh, it's just a fake and stuff. The first hybrid diesel and compressed air locomotive appeared in 1930 in Germany. Hybrid diesel and compressed air. If it's hybrid diesel and compressed air, it means that it can actually fully work independently on compressed air with no diesel whatsoever. Compressed air motor run cars. This is Roy J. Mayer's air car. Again, articles here and there, compressed air tanks. Technology, and then this is the Boyette compressed air rail car, runs on air electric perpetual drive. And people are saying, oh, you're lying, there's no such thing as perpetual drive, perpetual motion. Well, to be honest, after we see so many things about the 19th century and before and the reset and stuff, now my mindset has changed. Chicago tricycle, compressed air tricycle to be used in Chicago soon. This was in 1897, published by the New York Times. There are lots of things still out there. Just nobody speaks about them at university. Nobody cares. Corporations don't care. So, and again, look at that. No cables, no nothing, no pollution. Everything with compressed air or with electricity or with water. So yeah, in this case, this was about the air stuff. So air is free, right? And so if something is free, it means that you don't have to pay money for it, and that's a big problem considering our system and society. Or not ours, the one that we are forced to live. Take care. I'll see you guys next time. March 15, year 1896, St. Louis Post, a newspaper. Imagine the days. To use Earth's electric force, Nicola Tesla's amazing plan to harness free currents. The world is on the eve. Imagine, 1896. The world is on the eve of an outstanding revelation. The conditions under which we exist will be changed. The end has come to telegraph and telephone monopolies with a crash. Incidentally, all the other monopolies that depend on power of any kind will come to a sudden stop. The earth currents of electricity are to be harnessed. Nature supplies them free of charge. The cost of power, of light and heat will be practically nothing. And you all know what happened. After 1900 came, and 1914, 18, 20, 30. The only person, he's not the only one, of course, there were like several after him, but the only human being who, he did not invent anything, he only used what he knew from the previous humanity, and he patented everything that he learned about, so that, so for the future of our humanity, so for the future of the 20th century, and he was not allowed to do it. And now if you speak about these things, that when you go to university, when you go like in your like engineers group, you have like engineer friends or like in your company where you work and stuff, everybody tells you to shut up. And they laugh at you, and they laugh at Nikola Tesla, and they say, oh, everything was a lie. And everybody believes and accepts the fact that, imagine that they said the end of all monopolies, telephone, telegraph, and all powers. So petrol, gas, coal, everything else. And we still, to this day, how was the 20th century? It was disastrous. It was a disaster from an energy perspective. Why? We know why. Those people who do these videos, and those of you, a tiny minority who follow these videos, you know why. The big majority of the human race today doesn't even care. Not even close. Nobody cares. And we are in the 21st century. It's the year 2022. It's been 126 years since this post in the St. Louis newspaper. Nothing has changed. And of course, we're not going to go into details. I mean, history is there. The archives out there are there about the bankers and the industrialists and the great families. And interestingly enough, people criticize me and other people who speak about the reset and the fact that our humanity is approximately 250 years old. All the big families, all the big names in the industry, in the energy and all that stuff, the big families started in the late 19th century, between 1850 and 1880. That's when the first big families, the first big names, there's nothing before them. And when you speak about the reset and all these things have to do with the wrongly understood Tartaria, because now on the internet everybody speaks about Tartaria, even though it's not like that. But yeah, it's just, and we keep on going, and what can you do? You can't do anything because you and I were just common mortals. But it's sad, it is very sad. It is very difficult to even like try to speak these things with somebody. People just assume we live on a spinning ball with curved water, with limited energy. Nobody has proven that the Earth is a globe. Nobody has proven that when you go north of the North Pole, and to show us that you just go on water all the way to the South Pole, nobody has proven it yet. Everybody assumes we live on a spinning ball with limited resources, with limited energy, and that we spin in space, and somehow we never collide with other planets, other spheres, and until now there was no alien invasion. And hey, everybody just lives their lives paying debts, financially in debt. The big majority of the human race is financially in debt. Everybody cries every day, and they hate their lives, they hate their jobs, they hate their partners, they hate their family situation, they hate their work colleagues or what they're studying or what they're working. The big majority, I'm saying, not everybody 100%, but the big majority. Take it like 80 to 90%. And it's all because of this. It's all because one single man wanted to do something amazing. And it's not because of him, again, because he was a genius, but he did not invent anything. He just had access to the information that was part of the previous humanity. And even those who supported them, which were like a couple of like the big industrialists, actually wanted the same as him. They were put aside by the rest of them, because obviously even if you're like a big name in the elite, if you're just alone and all the others are against you, even though you're part of the elite, the others are more. And because they're more than you, they're more powerful than you, and you have to shut up. So, which is what happened in the case of like the only person, I think it was like Westinghouse in those days was as big as any other like elite families, and Westinghouse was actually forced to step back because he was threatened by the other families. So I don't know, it's just so sad. And I'm actually happy that we're still allowed to speak about free energy, because there's no policies on YouTube that say you're not allowed to speak about free energy and about unlimited energy and about the hardness of the energy of the earth. And we live in an electromagnetic enclosed system, and a genetic experiment, as hard as that sounds for the big majority of people. And can you do something? No, you can't. And you might say, you're going to ask the question, so why the heck are you just speaking about this if it's useless? I'm just speaking about it because I find it, first of all, I find it interesting. And second, at least maybe, just maybe, some other people who are out there, maybe they're going to click on this video out of nowhere and they're going to learn something new. Maybe that's going to change a bit their insight and their perspective on life, even though that's there's nothing that's going to actually change in the world, but maybe it's going to change their lives. I mean, it changed my life and it allowed me to not to be in financial debt like the big majority of the human race, and that at least has given me a bit more freedom and like relax. I'm more relaxed in life, precisely because I'm a minimalist and I tend to prioritize things, but without actually going into financial debt. Of course, it's hard, and of course, the big majority of the human race does not understand you. And sometimes I'm just saying it would be actually more awesome to actually be ignorant and just be like everybody else and just like go with the flow and yell and scream every day that you hate your life because you want to do this and you want to do that, but you're like financially in debt. Sometimes I think about that, but then I recover a bit and say, well, at least I'm happier than the rest, right? And I manage my money in a happier way. But it is hard in the system and the society, and in all honesty, lately I feel disgusted every single day. But what can you do? You can't do anything. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. I enjoyed this extract from the St. Louis Post in the newspaper in St. Louis in the United States of America. And yeah, there's a bunch of these, a lot of them. Well, I'll give you more information as we go along. But for now, just a short video, and see you next time. The period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor. The period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor. The period of Nicola Tesla, and before that, because Nicola Tesla, he didn't invent anything. So Nicola Tesla was not the inventor.